Okay, Mayor. All right, we can start now. It's 6:30, and now is the time for the Murray City Municipal Council meeting, and I'd like to welcome everyone. Let's see. Also, if you would turn your phones to silent, I would appreciate that. We have a full council. We're all here and present. I'd also like to welcome the mayor, GL, Brooke. Glad you guys are here to join us. Let's see. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Jeff Pultz, who is our Murray City Fire Marshal. Thank you, Jeff. If you would go to...
Really official.
Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, we have one approval of minutes, which is for the council meeting of September 6th, 2022. Are there any changes?
I'll just make a motion that we approve the council meeting minutes for the council meeting on September 6th, 2022.
I'll second.
Awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Let's continue on with our special recognition part of our council meeting. The first is recognition and final report from Morgan Workman, Miss Murray. And we have Mayor Hales and Morgan here to present.
Hello again. Oh, yeah. See you. So now, Doug, isn't that funny? I'm drawing a blank. I don't have any, okay. I'm sitting there thinking, I've done a lot of whereases, and I'm thinking, is this one of those? Anyway, this is Morgan Workman, and Morgan has been our Miss Murray and will be until October 22nd, or 22nd, is that correct? And I'll say a little bit after she does her presentation, but anyway, so we'll welcome Morgan, and then after she does her presentation, I'll give a few more remarks. So
Great.
Welcome, Morgan.
Welcome, Morgan.
Hello. I can't believe I'm already here. This is crazy. It felt like yesterday I was standing up here almost exactly a year ago, last October. It's pretty crazy that I'm here again. And the woman I was a year ago is not the same person I am right now. And that is all thanks to Miss Lloyd and, well, Lisa Lloyd and the Miss Murray organization. But yeah, I'd love to tell you a little bit about what I did during my year and what I accomplished. Okay, during my year, did it change up there? Oh, there we go. It's just a little bit delayed. During my year, I did 96 events.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yes, I was going to school full time. I was doing events as Miss Murray, which it's kind of crazy. As Miss Murray, you have to create these events yourself. You email people every single day. You search for events, and I found those. And we also implement what we call the Social Impact Initiative, which I will talk a little bit more about in a second. But up here, I love the top right picture. This was at the Boys and Girls Club right over here, actually. This little girl came up to me and she was so excited to meet me, and I was able to give her a little bit of candy, and I said, "Do you want to wear the sash?" She was like, "What?" She got so excited. And so I bent down, I put the sash on her, and I just remember she sat there just holding it so tightly and staring at it. I didn't think she was going to give it back to me. But she ended up giving it back to me. And that moment was so special for me because I remember looking at her and just remembering when I was that age and when I looked up to whoever was the Miss Murray that year and how inspired I was by those women. And I was so lucky that I got to be a part of that little girl's moment right there, watching a Miss Murray. Yes, so many events. Right here on the left is Lisa Lloyd. We lost her May 26th. So it's been a crazy, very heartbreaking year, but I have grown so much from it and I feel so strong. So, let's see here. Okay, favorite event besides, I put together a 5K fundraising event. That was my favorite. Besides that, I was able to work with Girls on the Run this past year. I was able to be a running buddy this last November. That was such a fun event. We got partnered up with a little girl. They would choose who we were partnered up with. And Grant Elementary actually was the one. No, I think it was actually Macmillan. They were getting involved with Girls on the Run. And so I signed up to be a running buddy. I showed up and I was partnered with this little girl the same day. I was partnered with this little girl. And that race changed so much of how I think. It was crazy. I remember running. We were running this 5K and I hadn't run in a really long time, and this little girl was running and running. I was like, are you sure you don't want to stop and get some water? No, I was dying, but we made it through. But I just remember this moment. We were coming up to this big hill, and it was our last hill of the whole entire race. And I knew it was going to be tough because we had been running the whole entire time. And I said, oh my goodness, that's our last hill. Are you ready? I mean, it looks a little bit scary. And she goes, I'm not scared at all. I'm excited for that hill. What? Why are you excited for that hill? And she said, because when you go up, you're always going to come back down. So I'm excited for that hill because I get to go down after that. And it's going to be so nice to just go downhill. And it's a little bit cheesy, but in that moment, it was like, that is so true in life when you're going uphill. And it is so hard. And I'm not going to cry. I won't. When you're going uphill, you're always going to come downhill and it's going to get so much better. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. That was a huge lesson I learned from that race. And she doesn't even know it. She just got her cute medal. We took a picture and she went home and I don't even know if she remembers me. Okay, so throughout my year, I was able to work on a social impact initiative. Mine was the Gifted Movement Scholarship. It is a scholarship. Is it not pulling up there? It'll come up soon. It's a scholarship for underprivileged youth who can't afford to participate in extracurricular activities. So what I did was hold a bunch of fundraising events throughout my year, and I put that money towards youth scholarships. Uh-oh, it's disappeared. That's okay. Basically, these are just pictures of me and the scholarship winners that I awarded. You're gonna try and see, maybe. But it was really cool. So I held 3 different fundraising events during my year. And the first one I did was a self-defense class. We raised a good amount of money. And then the second event was a 5K fundraising event. This was my absolute favorite event because it was something that me and Miss Lloyd worked really closely on. And she taught me so much about how to put an event on. And those tools I'm using right now in my job. And it's been so cool to see that play out. But I put together this 5K, a whole bunch of people signed up. And I just remember I was so stressed the night before because it was just this event and people were trusting me with their money and their time. And yeah, you'll see up there. Thank you. I was so nervous. But when I showed up and everything was laid out, just a deep breath. It was so awesome to see that I could put together something that big because I've never done that in my whole entire life. And that's something that Miss Lloyd taught me was how to do that. And we raised a ton of money. A lot of that money went towards the young man in the upper left corner. He's going to use it for soccer. He's going to travel out of the country and do a soccer training because he was really good, but he just didn't have the finances to be able to do that. And so I'm so lucky that I was able to help him out with that. And I also, I plan after this in the next couple of months, I would love to make this a 501c3 nonprofit. I'm going to do that. It's going to take a little bit of time, but that's my next plan after being Miss Murray because it's so fun. And if you ever want to donate, just let me know. Donations are always being accepted. So a couple other fundraising events. So I did a princess party. There wasn't a very big turnout, but this event was super special to me because it was a couple of days before Miss Lloyd passed away. And really nobody came. We had spent quite a bit of money. Yeah, totally. We spent quite a bit of money on getting everything in there and the activities, but nobody came. You know, you win some, you lose some, and that's okay. But I remember it was a couple days before she had passed away, and we all just got to hang out with her and enjoy our time with Miss Lloyd. I remember we were painting each other's nails, and the committee got to come and hang out with her, not knowing that it would probably be their last time with her. And so I know that that event was just so special and meant to be, even though nobody showed up. But throughout my year, I've raised nearly $5,000 for scholarships. That's from business sponsorships and fundraising events. It's been awesome. Can't remember what's next on the slideshow. That's okay. But no, it's seriously been such an amazing year, and I feel so lucky that I got this opportunity to be able to grow as a human and to also be the last Miss Murray with Lisa Lloyd. She was the ultimate queen of Murray, and she knew it, we all knew it, and we just respected her, and she will always be that to us. Maybe we're ready to hear about soon. If you want to come to the competition, the next Miss Murray will be crowned on October 22nd. So I'm very excited for that. Sorry, there's a whole bunch of cat hair on my keyboard. Oh. Yeah, no, Hillcrest Junior High. My apologies. Hillcrest Junior High, 7 p.m. Come watch all of these girls compete for the job of a lifetime. All right, let's see where we are at. Okay, Miss Utah. Yes, I got to compete at Miss Utah. It was so cool. I got to meet so many amazing young ladies, and I was a little bit intimidating going into this because I thought that they were all just going to be a little bit bratty and that it would be uncomfortable, but they were some of the nicest people I've ever met in my whole entire life, and that is surprising for a lot of people, but I met so many amazing young women, and I was so lucky to be able to stand next to so many amazing women. So down here at the bottom, that's me and my little Miss Murray this year. We got to spend a lot of our time together. She got to go to Miss Utah with me, participate in a pajama party. We got to do a little fashion show. It was so fun. My talent, I'm a dancer, so that was my talent. It was the best I'd ever performed. My talent was on that Miss Utah stage. I was so nervous because Miss Lloyd had passed away 2 weeks prior to that competition. And so I was an emotional wreck that whole week. And on top of it, I was also sick. So I was very nervous to perform that piece, but I got through it. And it was probably the best I've ever performed. So I feel like you perform your best under pressure, honestly. I use a lot. I hope that's not bugging anyone. You would think I would have learned that by now, not to use filler words, but I do still. Okay. I just wanted to thank the City Council for your continued support in this program. It has seriously changed my life, and it's changed so many other young women's life and in the future. And this scholarship money is going to be used towards education and continuing that for me. And I'm so grateful for this experience. So thank you, really, truly. Mayor Hells, thank you for your constant support. I've loved our meetings together. You are my favorite mayor. I also have a little note that I'll go grab, but come to the Miss Utah competition. Take a picture if you want to come, because I would love your support, and these young ladies would as well. But yeah, that's all I have for you. So thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
So it's just proof how well organized Morgan is, because with all that going on, she didn't miss a beat. She just kept going, and that's impressive when you have a lot of things going on. I've had that happen before, and sometimes I wasn't able to finish because I couldn't get my thoughts. So that was impressive. Come on up, Morgan. Don't ever stand behind me. Be by my side. But anyway, Morgan has been phenomenal. There's been a lot of things that have happened during her reign. And like she mentioned, the loss of Lisa Lloyd, who was absolutely amazing. And then we didn't know if we were going to have another. We thought Miss Murray could be on its way out. We had no idea. Morgan and other former Miss Murrays came in and talked to us. And boy, I'll tell you, Doug and Tammy and I and a few others were meeting with them. And that's when I realized this was not just a beauty pageant. This was an education for these young women. And they're all leaders. They all are leaders, and they're amazing. And they were able to, it was amazing how they were able to, I literally say, resurrect the program, because we thought it was gone forever. And you handled it so well, Morgan. You were amazing, and how positive you were with it. Even through some of your disappointment, you always stayed positive. And you've impressed us. And we are excited for you for October 22nd to be involved with the next Miss Murray. And from a little token of appreciation from us here at Murray City, we have that clock for you with that engravement for you. So we just want to tell you, Morgan, how much we appreciate you. And you have been an amazing Miss Murray this past year, and especially with all that was going on, you were very professional. So let's give a big hand for Morgan. Thanks.
Thank you, Morgan. All right. Our next is to consider a joint resolution for Fire Prevention Week. And we have Mayor Hales and Steve Robeson.
When I was out in the hall, Steve said, "Oh, this is my favorite thing to do." He was being sarcastic. So I said, I'm going to get up and say, he just loves this. He wants to do it every other week, Joey. So if you would allow him to do that, he would. Yeah, look at him. Anyway, I'm gonna read, but the resolution. But before I do that, I just want to say thanks, Steve. I know they call you a lot of different names, Robbie, Robertson. What's the main thing they call you? Robo, Cop. I don't know. Oh, okay. Did you hear him? All right. But Steve is a great young man. He has been how many years have you been here?
I'm on my 15th.
So 15th year. He started at age 15, but he is a stud. He's a great young man. He's always fun to work with. He's very knowledgeable with his position, and he's real friendly with the citizens. I've seen him in action. He's just a positive person. His, I want to say wife, but girlfriend, Amber. I'll say wife. Same. Anyway, Amber, really, they have been a great support to Murray City. And I just want to tell you how much we love and appreciate both of you for your service. You've just been, you're a good guy, and we appreciate you here. So I think we need to give him a hand. He and all the other first responders. All right, now the important stuff. Now, Rosalba, we don't have as many whereas as today as you had 2 weeks ago.
That's okay. We can always add more.
Yeah, thank you. I looked at this and I thought, seems like it's a lot still, but so I'm going to read the joint resolution and then we'll go from there. So this is a joint resolution of the Mayor and Municipal Council of Murray City, Utah, to designate and support the week of October 19th through 15th, 2022 as Fire Prevention Week. Whereas the Murray City is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all of those in the city, and acknowledged that fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally. And homes are the locations where people are at the greatest risk from fire. And whereas fire departments in the United States respond to an average of 354,000 home fires per year, resulting in 2,620 deaths. We encourage Murray residents to review cooking safety, as 49% of home fires start in the kitchen. I don't have to worry about that. I'm never in the kitchen. But anyway, they start in the kitchen, and to also identify all places in the home where fires can start and eliminate those hazards. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in a home by fire by 60%, Murray residents should install smoke alarms in every bedroom outside each separate sleeping area on every level of the home and assure all batteries are functional. And whereas the Murray City Fire Department is dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and resulting injuries through prevention and education. And the 2022 Fire Prevention Week theme, Fire Won't Wait, Plan Your Escape, effectively serves to remind us to have an escape plan developed and practiced at least twice a year. Therefore, we do hereby proclaim October 9th through the 15th, 2022 as Fire Prevention Week throughout Murray City and urge all residents to have and practice an escape plan in case of a fire in their home and to support the many public safety activities of the Murray City Fire Department during Fire Prevention Week 2022. And before I say passed and approved, we will turn that over to the council to have you consider this.
Okay. I would like a motion.
I will make a motion that we consider a joint resolution for Fire Prevention Week.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
Brooke?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. It's been passed.
Thank you, Diane. So passed and approved and adopted by the mayor and the municipal council of Murray City, Utah, this 4th day of October, 2022. Jennifer, do I give this to Steve? Nope, never mind, Steve, you don't get it. I was ready to give it away, Steve. Yeah, I'll give you the hard time. So I'm going to turn the rest of the time over to Steve, and I hope, I don't know if you're going to talk about this, but as I read that earlier today, again, I thought, I know Murray Fire Department has some program with smoke alarms, and I really think, am I right on that? Yeah, and I really think, I mean, a smoke alarm to the Hales family is like a child seat for one of our grandchildren. We just absolutely do not go without that. And if the batteries start to beep, we don't do it later. We do it right then because we've seen a lot of homes prevented from being burned down because of smoke alarms. And so I just think that is a huge thing. And I know we have a program, and I'll let Steve or whoever wants to mention about that. But I just want to, again, thank you, Steve, and we appreciate it. And we'll turn the time over to you, my friend.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. I want to thank you for your continuing support for our department, too. Being a lifelong resident of this city and a fifth-generation resident of this city, it is a fantastic experience to be able to work for this fire department and see the pride taken in the service provided to our citizens. It's been even cooler starting this position as the deputy fire marshal in May, be more involved, attend more meetings, and see even a broader spectrum of the services provided to our city. And it's never been a doubt in my mind it wasn't the best city in America, as our previous mayor liked to say a lot, but I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I'm very proud to work here, and I couldn't appreciate your support anymore. I'd also like to take a minute and thank Chief Middleman, our previous fire marshal. I'd like to thank him for his leadership in setting the bar extremely high in the fire marshal division. I'd like to thank Jeff Poles, our new fire marshal, and my supervisor, and as well as Scott White and George Zaborable, our two other deputy fire marshals. I wouldn't have believed it before May when I came into this office, but it is busy. We used to make jokes about first lunch and second lunch, you know, when I was writing on the engines, and I wish I got a lunch most days. So I have a lot of appreciation and admiration for the Fire Prevention Bureau, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. I also have to thank two other gentlemen, retired battalion chiefs, Mac Lund from Unified Fire, and this guy, Tom Robertson from Salt Lake Fire. They're doing our public education and running our CERT programs, and they have a lot of interest and enjoy doing that. In fact, they're having their first class tonight for one of their next program. An experience I've had is that enforcing fire code is not easy. It can be, but it also cannot be at all, and we've experienced that recently. But it's easy to make these decisions in the spirit of we're out there to prevent loss of life and to help preserve property and keep our citizens, our visitors, and our business owners safe. Fire Prevention Week, however, is not hard. It's a ton of fun. And like the mayor said, the theme this year is about don't wait, because fire, it won't wait. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe our last 3 fatalities in this city in house fires, neither of them had working smoke detectors. Our chief's first mission is to never allow a fatality in a fire in our city in his tenure. And I couldn't support that more. Like the mayor said, there is a program through the Red Cross that we participate with. And if you do not have a smoke detector, I beg you to please contact our fire department and we'll help you get one. Some of the activities we have going on this week, we have, we're doing a little fire safety speech at a senior citizen center here in Murray. We're teaching a couple businesses fire extinguisher use. And the favoriteest of it all is going to the elementaries. We visit every elementary and speak to the second graders, and that's when I get to act more like a kid than I normally do. I get to crawl around and scream and show them what our gear looks like and stuff like that. But we're doing a fun thing this year, and we're sending them home with a coloring page to enter into a contest for a really cool prize. On the back of that, we're going to add in a little smoke detector inventory sheet, and hopefully the teachers will make it a homework assignment. So then we can kind of get an idea of, how many homes just these second graders may or may not have sufficient smoke detectors. I also urge everybody to please remember to check your smoke detectors at least every 6 months, and also your carbon monoxide detectors. And also plan your escape route out of your house and a meeting spot in case of a fire. Other than that, it's pretty much what we have going on. We're excited for it. I really look forward to this week and getting out with kids. And again, thank you so much for your support.
Thank you, Steve. That was awesome. Appreciate it.
Can I
All right.
just say one thing?
Oh,
Morgan, before you leave, thank you. I had Morgan as when she was in second grade. And Mom, she has turned into such a wonderful, beautiful young woman. Thank you. And thank you for being a good student. Thank you. Yeah. Bye. And Steve, thank you. Thank you for everything that you do for our community and for our citizens. I really, really appreciate it. And you've grown up to be a wonderful fireman.
All right. Any other comments? All right. Now we are at citizen comments. And comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Step to the microphone, state your name and city of residence, and fill out the required form, which is with Jennifer. So, those of you who would like to speak to the council, please come up. Okay. Now we'll continue to the consent agenda. There is none scheduled, and we are now at public hearings. So let's see, our first public hearing is to consider an ordinance relating to land use. It amends the general plan from low-density residential and office to medium-density residential, and amends the zoning map from GO, which is general office, and R18, which is single-family low-density residential, to RM15, which is multifamily medium-density residential, for the properties located at 787 and 825 to 865 East, 4800 South, Murray. Oh my goodness. I think we need a test after that. Zach Smallwood, you are presenting.
Thank you so much. This is a request from Allie Platt with the Lotus Company, like you had stated, to amend the general plan's future land use map from general office and low density residential to medium density residential, and a zone map amendment from R18 and general office, which is GO, to RM15, which is medium density multifamily residential. It's located here just south of Van Winkle Expressway and to the west of 4800 South, that makes that connection. The reason for the request that has two zones is because they are in two zones. That was kind of obvious. So here on the left-hand side is the R18 zone. It's a 1 acre piece of property that has an existing single-family home on it. And the property to the east is has about 2.94, I believe, acres, and is in the GO zone. So the general plan, future land use map, calls for them to be office and R1 or low density residential. As you guys know, the master plan is to be interpreted. This was a moment in time where we thought things were going to stay the same, and throughout some different changes throughout the, through these past 5 years, the applicant believes that there's no economic life left in that office building, and are proposing to move that into housing. Just a couple things here, just the office and low density residential and the corresponding zones in the general plan. Here you have the medium density residential. So that allows, the RM15 allows them to go up to 12 units per acre. Let's see. And then just a little comparison of the zoning districts. So here on this table, you have the two on the left-hand side. Those are the existing zones, and the one on the right is what they're proposing. So the GO residential is not allowed as a use, except for assisted and retirement living facilities. In the R18, one single-family home is allowed per 8,000 square foot lot. In the RM15, they're, like I said, up to 12 units per acre. See, height, pretty standard across the board, 30, 35, and up to 40 in the RM15 with Planning Commission approval. Without Planning Commission approval, I believe it's 35 or 30 feet. Front yard setback is largely the same. The GO has a little bit smaller, but 25 feet is the standard pretty much across the city, almost in our zones. Rear yard, again, pretty standard, 25 feet. And then side yards, it's a total of 8 on one side for a total of 20. Let's see. And then parking for GO, it's between 4 and 5 spaces for every 1,000 square feet. For a single family residence, it's 2 spaces per single family lot. And for an RM15, it's 2.5 spaces per unit. So a public hearing was held by the Planning Commission on July 7th, 2022. 110 notices were sent to all property owners within 400 feet of the subject property. And the Planning Commission did vote 5-0 to forward a recommendation of approval. And here in the findings, like I had said, the general plan provides for that flexibility of its implementation, depending on, executing the goals and policies based on individual circumstances. So we as staff and the Planning Commission believe that amending the future land use map will allow for cohesion and neighboring with the neighboring residential uses. And let's see. And the Planning Commission, like I said, voted 5-0 to recommend approval. So here are the two recommended motions to approve both of those. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Does the sponsor want to speak?
Yeah, Ali can come up.
Hello, everyone. I'm Allie Platt with Lotus Company. Do you have any questions? You want me to just kind of give you an overview of what we're looking to do?
Yeah.
So on this site, we've owned the site for a little bit. It's really at its end of its economic life. It's not renting well. In order to get the occupancy up, we had to lower rents massively, and it's just not producing the way it needs to. And in order to pump money that it desperately needs for renovations, we just don't think it's gonna get the usage that we really need out of it. So we're proposing to do townhomes on the site for the majority, and hopefully keep some of the green space behind the single family. It's really beautiful back there, and so we're going to try to preserve what we can, and then we plan the rest for just a townhome development. All of them have 2-car garages and stuff like that, so it'll be a mix of 2-story and 3-story. Yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I think we're good. Thank you very much for being here.
Oh, I have a few
Oh,
questions.
Pam, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. So how many of these are there going to be? How many townhomes are you looking at putting
I
in there?
believe this rezone would allow us 48 units, if I'm correct. So it's 12 per acre. Puts us around 48.
Okay. Are these rented or are they going to be owned
They will generally be for rent.
for rent?
Okay. Thank you very much, Allie.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
What has Lotus done to contact surrounding neighbors?
So the city sent out the 110 neighboring letters, and then I've been in contact with a lot of the neighbors that are those 3 neighbors that are right along that single family house. I've had quite a few conversations with I think all of them, at least 2 of them, and communicated with them that way. And we've talked about, they don't want a 3-story right there, and so we'll put something 2-story there to help them with that, and trying to preserve some of that space. I went and walked it with one of the neighbors. It's really beautiful down there, and so we've been in close contact with them, but otherwise I haven't heard much from any other neighboring.
Okay. I was just curious because I know there's been other developers who have come in and really engaged themselves with the community. I've been in contact with some of not those neighbors, but like with neighbors around 48th, and they're just really concerned about what kind of traffic it's going to bring along 48th. Why the change? My personal question is, you guys were just here recently, correct, for conditional use change?
No.
It was just in general office, but it was for an occupant that is now at Lotus, right? Or on that property. I don't know what the inventory is like in Murray, but in terms of office use, and I know it's been kind of low, and I know the trend is, we're not going to kind of go out anymore and try to recruit and try to bring business in. Mm-hmm. I don't know what your guys' efforts have been there, or, and I know that I know it's changing. Mm-hmm. The landscape is changing, but what I'm afraid of is if we lose this, then we'll start kind of having a domino effect in losing other office spaces in Murray.
I think, and we looked at early on doing a new office space of something of the sort, but Just with the location and the visibility for most offices, it's not ideal. You don't really have any visibility along Van Winkle, and it makes it quite challenging for any business that wants to be street facing or bring in business that way. And the office as it is just doesn't function well. It's not in great shape. And so we feel that at this location specifically, the office wouldn't ever be the best use for this very like tree lined kind of tucked away space is ultimately where we came to the conclusion.
I think we're going to see a lot of general office wanting to convert with remote work and telework and all of that. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. That just sounds like the way the economy is going and sounds like an appropriate adaptation of this space.
You mentioned, you used the word majority when you said majority townhomes. What else would it be other than townhomes?
Oh, no, it's townhomes. I've just,
Okay.
yeah.
And then I imagine there's a lot of established trees in that area.
There are.
Is there a plan to evaluate those? I know there's some programs that you can use to evaluate which ones. Are you going to? Okay. Zach will address it.
Yes.
That's my only other question.
Okay. Yeah, we do plan to keep, I think, the single family home there as it is. We'll probably keep that in place, but otherwise we'll be towns. So yeah. Anything else for me? Okay, thank you.
We're good. Thank you. Zach? Good job.
Doing acrobatics, trying to. I know. I'm sorry. To address your question, Mr. Harakisi, is we oftentimes, when we have these multifamily developments, as they're going through the conditional use process or the design review process, we have a lot of times, Jared's really good about making sure that we have a tree study conducted. It happened along River Park Commons. It's off 5th West, those newer townhomes right there. We were able to save quite a few trees that they were able to do right along the river's edge there that they were able to maintain. I know it's something very near and dear to my heart too. I don't want to see trees. I actually went and sat in this parking lot for lunch today and saw all the really pretty trees. So
I have a question. Are we doing a traffic study as well?
any traffic study, it would be up to, I never can remember the number, and Jared's reaching for the mic so he can answer.
This one would be, for multifamily, this one is probably under the number that we would require it under code, but given its proximity to that busy intersection and the limited access off of it to other areas, I'm going to guess engineering will want a traffic study, yeah.
Yeah, I was just concerned because I know already it kind of gets congested in that area. And then with the new development going up across the street, it could be a major roadblock. I mean, it's already a problem.
Sure.
You turn right there and it's already a problem. So,
and all of that would lead to that study.
And also the walkability. I mean, and maybe this is for Lotus to keep in mind in the future, but is really just creating some walkable space on that side of the road along 4800 South. And I think that's an opportunity that the developers can really hone in on there if this is to be approved.
That's a great thought.
So, and to go along with their what is it? Not the traffic study, what we just approved.
Tree survey?
Not the tree survey.
A different one.
The like interconnection, walkability, the transportation. Yes. Sorry.
We knew it was a T word.
Yes,
We just weren't
it was,
quite getting there.
we were getting there. We were getting there.
All right. Okay, nothing more from the council at this point, so we will go to the open here. I mean, I will open the public hearing. So it is, if there is anyone that has comments, now is your time.
Hello, I'm Clark Bullen from District 3. I read the citizen comments on the packet, and there were comments on social media as well, and a lot of the concerns expressed were regarding traffic, as several council members have suggested. And they're concerned with the current traffic and how fast people go on 4800 South as a thoroughfare, but it's, there's residential houses on that property and there's cars zooming past. I assume there are children that live in some of those houses. Some of the concern, the lofts on 4800 South are going in with a decent amount of units on a 300 something. The Kmart units, it's going to be right by that intersection as well, fairly close. And so will some of those people be driving down 48th with that increase, including these 47 units that would be approved? And so what's interesting to me is that we approve zoning changes and then do traffic studies based on specific projects. But generally, the traffic increase is going to be more related to the zone change of increasing density. And at that point, when you do a traffic study after you've already improved an increase in density, it seems somewhat like a superfluous formality to do so, as it seems like that increase in traffic has somewhat already been approved. I would like to make two requests of the council. First, I would like to see a workshop done by the planning department that helps citizens better understand traffic studies, why they're done, what they're looking for, and under what circumstances would a traffic study prevent the city from recommending an increase in density. Also, preferably including examples of when zoning changes have been discouraged based on traffic studies. I believe this would help the community understand why they don't need to be concerned and with how density increases will affect traffic and how these traffic studies help set our minds at ease, especially those people who live around that density increase. And then the second request I'd like to make is have the council consider requiring traffic studies for zone changes that increase density on a specific property before such zone changes are approved. Because as the great people we have at our planning department have often said, we should approve zoning changes if it's right for the area, not based on specific suggested projects, because nothing holds a property owner to doing what they are planning on doing. Could Lotus change its mind and not do those townhomes? Sure. Could they sell it and could somebody else do something different? Sure. So it's not project specific that we should consider for the traffic. We should consider it based on the zone change. So I would hope that the council would change that so we do the traffic study before we approve zoning changes. Thank you.
Great. Thanks.
So we did have an emailed in comment on Monday, and so I'm going to read that into the record. All right, this is from Robert Benedict. Didn't give his address, but I know he lives on one of those three houses that we pointed out to on the other side. Hello, Zach. I hope you are doing well and enjoying this nice weather. I am writing about an agenda item on Tuesday's Municipal Council meeting. The council will be debating the merits of changing the zoning of two 4800 South properties. The Lotus Company is asking to rezone the Spring Pines Business Park, currently designated as GO, and the former Larson property, 787 East, 4800 South, currently zoned as single family. The Lotus zoning amendment application reads, quote, Lotus is seeking to find a solution to redevelop a property we own in Murray that is at the end of its economic life. This may be true for the business park, but the former Larson property is a single-family home with an undeveloped acre behind it. By definition, calling undeveloped land at the end of its economic life seems incorrect. How can undeveloped land be at the end of its economic life? If there is a requirement that a zoning application be accurate, I would like to ask that the council vote on these two very different properties separately. The council can certainly give Lotus the chance to amend their zoning application to accurately reflect their reason for requesting the zoning change. Through their lawyer at the Planning Commission meeting, Lotus did say they do not need the Larson property as an egress for their housing project, and that the current house would remain. Lotus's own words undermine their application that the Larson property is at the end of its economic life. The Murray City General Plan outlines as one of its goals drawing a line around existing commercial precincts to protect adjacent residential areas. The Larson property is perfectly positioned to provide a buffer zone between the existing neighborhood and the future Lotus redevelopment of Spring Pines. The single-family designation of the Larson property has well served the local neighborhood since 1913. It has acted as a buffer to the Springs Pines Business Park, just as the council intended. Lotus has not advanced a plausible reason to change something that has worked for so long. No one wants to live next to a multi-year construction site from the current pace of other Murray developments. I would expect the Lotus project to take at least 3 years. Leaving the current single-family designation would serve as a buffer for the local neighborhood from the construction site. Lotus was surely aware of the single-family designation when they bought the Larson property. Unless they had advanced reason to believe Murray would change the zoning, Lotus does not suffer any harm from keeping the zoning single-family. They got exactly what they purchased. They can develop the land as single-family, sell the land, or do something else with it that is allowed in their zoning. The council's job is not to represent the developer or the local constituents. If there is a compelling argument that changing the zoning to multifamily benefits the community of Murray over the concerns of local residents, it is not evident in the zoning amendment application. There would seem to be plenty of opportunities for the council to find equitable solutions, and he provides 4. The council could ask Lotus to amend their application to provide a reasonable explanation for wanting to rezone the Larson property. The council could then make an informed and transparent decision. The council could vote to maintain the existing single-family zoning, allowing Lotus to petition to change the zoning again later. This would allow Lotus to develop their properties in stages. The first stage would be to redevelop the business park. The council could ask that Lotus work with the 4 neighbors bordering the property. We very well may be able to reach an equitable agreement around buffer zones, fencing, etc. If the zoning is changed to multifamily, Lotus loses all incentive to negotiate. The council could allow the Larson property to remain its zoning, but count as green space in the overall development. In the August edition of the Murray City Journal, Mayor Hales mentioned that we have 5,828 apartments in Murray. He highlights 3 projects that will be adding 856 new apartments. With other projects, Murray is expanding its apartment base by an incredible 20% in a very short time. It would seem to be in the interest of Murray City to assimilate this huge growth before changing the Larson property to multifamily. Thank you very much. Robert Benedict.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the citizenry? Okay, I'll close the public hearing and send it to the council.
I have a question.
Okay,
Is that okay?
well, I want to have a motion and then discuss it after the motion.
Sure, that's fine. We can do that.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion to amend the application to keep the Larson property as is, and then continue with the rest of the second property. Sorry, I'm not sure what they're called, what the difference is between both of them. So parcels, so keep the Larson parcel as is. And is there, I mean, I guess that would have to come from them to keep it as a kind of like green space or utilize it in a different way. And then the second parcel, continue that to the medium density.
RM15.
RM15.
Okay. I second that motion.
Okay, we have a substitute motion and a second. Is there further discussion on the substitute motion?
Just for clarity, you're not amending the application. You're simply not
Voting on the one
Right.
partial, correct?
Well, you're essentially denying that part of it
With
if
the
you go
motion.
if you go that direction, but you're not amending the application.
So would I say that I need to I would deny it. And then do we make that motion?
I think you would say the motion is to not approve the change of the R18 to the RM15, but to change the GO from GO to RM15.
The difficulty this causes, which is not insurmountable, but what is difficult is the applicant has an application before you, as one application. I wasn't at the Planning Commission, but I assume they didn't consider this bifurcation of the application. And it's very difficult now in your position as the City Council, without a recommendation from the Planning Commission, to go and start making these changes. That's a hard thing to defend.
I will just piggyback onto GL. This same thing did come up, and we did explain to the Planning Commission that they applied for both things as one application. So that's, yeah, I'm just piggybacking on GL at that point.
Because we don't have the ability to change the application, we're considering the application in front of us. Like that is that.
Okay.
So it's either we approve the application or yes or no.
That's the preference.
Okay.
That's the.
So with the amendment, I
Yeah,
mean,
would be-
we have a second. So then where does that?
And it would.
What's
it's
the
not in
process?
order.
Table
Well,
it.
it's yeah.
So then it's
the
not in
motion is out of
order.
order. It's just not stated correctly.
So we cannot amend it.
You can't. She has to
Change it.
amend the application, right? That's not a motion that we would consider. We don't change applications. We either approve or disapprove.
Right.
That's
So
what we're
either gonna approve the motion
considering.
or disapprove.
Okay.
So we'll just, okay. So I would appreciate a motion.
I will move we approve the ordinance relating to land use, amending the general plan from low density residential and office to medium density residential, and amend the zoning map from GO and R18 to RM15 for the properties located at 787 and 825 to 865 East, 4800 South, Murray, Utah.
Do we have a second?
I think it's really appropriate.
I mean, if I second, you can still. We'll just take the vote.
It just
right?
takes it to a vote.
So I'll
If
second.
you second it, we can move
Yeah,
it forward.
That's fine. I'll second.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Further discussion?
I just have a question. Zach, is there anything that we are missing as a council that we are not understanding right now on this application?
I feel like it's been.
That feels a little loaded, but
Don't answer that.
I don't think so. Jared has some notes, and I'm going to let him speak to some of those. So I'll turn it over to him.
I can just be really quick. If some of the let me speak to two of the kind of the main concerns that I heard in Mr. Boland's comments, and then also in the email that Zach read. And they're
The
valid
reason why I
concerns.
asked
Sure.
this question is because I saw you writing
Scribbling
notes, and I
things.
wanted you to read your notes.
Let me just so I appreciate that, and I'll be brief because I realize we're
Please
in the
read it
middle of a motion
verbatim.
in a second. So, transportation plans that there's concern about traffic. Traffic's always on planning and zoning's mind, and it's always on engineering's mind. And I think to Mr. Bowen's point, it's a good moment to clarify that zone changes do get considered. We get reviews by the engineering department. We get reviews from Public Works and Streets. We do reviews as well. It's not that hasn't been considered. And when Trey, the city engineer, reviewed this application, he didn't feel like the zone change application needed to be supported by a traffic study. I have no doubt that in my mind that if he felt like he wouldn't give his support to the application before there was a study done, we would have just told the applicants that, and it wouldn't make it to the Planning Commission, let alone to the council. But 47 units, 12 units the acre, that's just not rising to that level. There are applications, to Mr. Boland's question as well. There are applications or situations in mixed use zoning where densities are considerably higher, where we would not want to move forward without that kind of traffic study. This just doesn't, it's a tricky piece, but it's not anything that can't be handled by a traffic study's recommendations. And to Zach's first note that I started scribbling after, traffic studies don't typically tell you in an application situation, no, you're not going to build this project. They tell you what you need to do in order to make the project safe. In a zone change situation where we review them before we process the application, that would be telling us whether we should support the zone change or not. That vetting said, yes, we can support the zone change based on traffic, and we'll worry about what has to happen for the specific project and its traffic considerations during project phase when they come in with a consideration. Does that make sense?
Yeah, let me ask you this, Jared.
Sure.
When we do a traffic study, and you know, I think in my tenure I've heard, well, there hasn't been any incidents, so it's really not a big deal. But then you go and you talk to citizens and you're talking to your community, and it is a big deal. But because a kid hasn't been hit, somebody hasn't been, run over,
Right.
or another car, there wasn't a fatal accident, but there's many accidents that happen on 48th. We're not going to consider those because there's not enough accidents that have happened. So I'm wondering, yes, a traffic study is vital and it will tell us what we need to know, but until something happens, then we're pretty much out of luck. So I kind of feel like it can be relevant, but it can also be irrelevant too in being informed in this decision.
There's some truth to that. I can hear the merit in what you're saying. But by the same token, traffic is just, the master transportation plan tells them the numbers they need to have to say, do we need to worry about this at this level or not? And then you have to remember too that traffic is not a self-contained issue. Our roads do not end at the borders of Murray. Not all of that traffic coming through that intersection causing those problems comes from these developments that we build. They come from other developments as well. It's a regional kind of a deal, which is why we have regional transportation plan meetings, and there's a lot that goes into all of these things. So it does get considered, and it probably gets considered beyond just, how many incidents there have been, et cetera. But those data are there too. When the regional transportation plan is done, when this master transportation plan was done, all of that data gets considered. So it does matter, and it's definitely a kind of a personal thing for people that live in an area. They feel that traffic much more than us as staff people looking at it and going, well, there haven't been any bear mauling deaths on this trail yet, so we'll keep it open, right? That's kind of what the analogy would be. We don't like to view it that way. It feels much more personal when you live in that home and you see the cars increasing coming by. But transportation is a problem in this valley that's going to continue to grow no matter what we do until we find other solutions. There are going to be more homes. There are going to be more people. There are going to be more people on the roads. We have to manage that traffic. That's really what it is. You can't stop it. You have to manage it. This doesn't keep us from managing it.
Yeah, and I'll say this to the tree survey that we are looking for, or a tree study, is that there are a lot of large trees, but there's also a stream that can be affected by a new development, and that's a waterways within the city. And I think beyond, and I'm sure Salt Lake is going to require their own stuff with this development, but we're losing a big chunk of a vital of just nature along that side.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the tree study would look like. I don't know how it would look like. I mean, my reason to want to keep that space off to that property is because there's going to be a lot more, and we are seeing more and more developments that are not incorporating green space, and we have them to include green space, but this is a big chunk. And if you walk in that area, like she said, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and I'm afraid of what's going to be left.
That's a great point too, and I'll let Zach. You want to talk about that?
So what I try to do, this is just a little bit of touting. So my specialization in my planning degree is urban design. That's not just sidewalks and benches and things, but it is looking at open space and green space. And so whenever I look at projects like this, I look at it with that eye. I can't dictate to a developer exactly where to place things, but us as city officials, we have a lot of sway in how they position these things. And I can tell you, I'm partial to this area. I think it's beautiful. I think I mentioned in committee this is owned by Salt Lake City, so none of this is going to get touched. And then you're right. This is some sort of waterway. Salt Lake County flood control reached out to me and said, hey, if the zone change goes through and they need to do a development, you need to work with us. So we are very well aware. There's also these things, there's lots of opportunity in this area to address those. And to be honest, I don't think there's a lot of junk trees in this area. So there might be a lot that might call for being saved. But also on that, me personally, I would push a lot of if this gets approved, I'm going to probably be pushing the applicants to put their units here where there are parking lots, empty parking lots right now, and maximizing this already, because in all honesty, it's less of a cost. If you've already got open green space, why tear it down to build new green space when you can utilize it? So that's definitely on the forefront of my mind when I look at this project, for sure.
I just want to thank you for pointing out what trees are owned by the different municipalities, and that means that they will be maintained, because the trees are really important, as are the waterways. I just want to say that with a historically low vacancy rates in rental properties and accessible housing, that I just think it's extremely appropriate to look at general office, as we're going to see more and more empty office buildings as people are teleworking and remote. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I just think it's extremely appropriate to look at when we have too much office space, and there is a call for more housing. And I think townhouses are, or the RM15 in general, what's allowed there is very appropriate along such a street as Van Winkle, buffering into that more residential, lower density next to it, still residential. But that's why I feel very comfortable with it, and because I trust our engineers to alert us when there's concerns about the traffic. I drive this area all the time, so I apologize to the neighborhood. That's me. But I'm familiar with the traffic, but I trust our engineers, and I trust those looking at plans to make sure it's an appropriate plan for the space, for the utilities available, to make this a more usable and vibrant area than letting it continue to have more and more vacancies, which cause a lot of issues for the neighborhood as well. Construction's no fun. I get that. Drive through the bullion construction every day. But I think that that's a short-term inconvenience compared to buildings becoming empty and then having all of the issues that come with that problem.
And I just want to, I agree with you, especially on the general office. But I think the concern that I saw from the comments and from the citizens and the comments we've heard is that one that's R18 and that they're put together. That's where my concern is. I think that leaving that as R18 and as a buffer is a better option. And so since we can't separate them, then I find it challenging to move this forward. I totally agree, though. We have to look at more GO to get more units, and that's a way to do it. But I think we should try to leave that buffer in place. And we can't just take people's words for it anymore. I don't think it's reasonable. So,
Jared, thank you for explaining things more clear.
Can I do one more?
Yes.
Sorry, this is my last one, I promise.
No, you can have as much.
To Councilman Harekesi's point, that's a good thought, and it's a valid concern. Just from 20 years watching this kind of things happen, I just want to be clear about this. That is 1 acre of mostly vacant ground in the middle of the valley. The odds of that staying exactly like it is and those trees staying there are not great. Someone could come in and tear that house down tomorrow and ask us to flag lot subdivide that. That requires a 28-foot driveway all the way down, and then clearing trees to build a house on a pad in the back and engineering to bring it up to level. Your best shot at keeping and this is just me talking, looking at it as a staff planner for a million years plus, rounding down. Your best shot at keeping that open space and trees might be somebody coming in that's required to provide an amenity anyway. Because like Zach said, it's already there and built. It's on a difficult slope and it goes down to a protected waterway. If I'm a designer, that's where I put my required open space. If I'm a single family homeowner and I just paid the price for that property for $1 million, or sorry, a full acre, which is $1 million, in the valley, I tear that house down and I build a flag lot. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just saying it may not be as much a protection to it as you think it is by leaving it in the R18 zone. It's just one of the kind of tricks of the situation. So just consider that as you're looking at it.
No, but you can also use the property owner, I mean, can use it and utilize that space for anything else. There's so many different options, and I get the flag lot conversation, but if you put units in all that space there, then that could be partially your green space along with any other amenities that come with this space. And we're also talking about rentals, so you're going to have to create some sort of amenities, right? And so I'm not saying, and I totally agree with you. You can definitely do that, but it feels like the intention of purchasing this property and whatever X amount of time, and what I've seen other developers do is to eventually convert them to housing, which we are in a crunch. I totally get that, and I totally agree with that. But there's so many other things that I have to say, and I also have to keep in mind for residents who have contacted me about this, is they're concerned about the green space, they're concerned about the waterways. We don't even know what that's going to look like for the city to protect that waterway from the county. True. Because then we become involved. And you know, and how do we really utilize this? I do entrust in our staff, and I entrust in the vision of where this property is what it can look like. And I think what we've seen with other developers is if it comes to us and there's all these different concerns, usually we come back with something even better. And I think the conversation hasn't been open, and it's just kind of been here all of a sudden. And I think residents are starting to be a little bit more alert and a little bit more aware. And I would be dismissed if I said, sorry, we're not going to listen to you, but we're just going to go ahead and proceed with this.
I can understand that.
So thank you.
She has a comment in the back. GL, I have a question. Oh, okay.
We need to take a vote at this point.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
No. Let's see, that motion fails 3-2. So now we'll go to number 2, which is to consider an ordinance relating to land use. It amends the zoning map for the property located at 98 West Winchester Street, Murray, Utah, from R18, which is residential low density, to RNB, residential neighborhood business. Jared and
Yeah, Seth couldn't be with us tonight.
And
so,
Zach.
Yes, it's going to be just us two hanging out for the rest of the night.
All right.
So this is a request from Mr. Cassidy to amend from R18 to RNB at 98 West Winchester. It's this tiny little piece of property here. Just this corner property that's been vacant for a number of years because you can't really build anything on it. It's not big enough. The owner of the office condos is interested in purchasing it and expanding their parking lot. So they just need to change the zoning because R18 doesn't allow parking lots. So here you can see the RNB and the R18. A few photos that Seth took of the existing property. It's actually been cleaned up a little bit. It used to have a lot of not so good stuff spread all around it. So
looks like a perfect spot for the next Tarekasi residents.
There you go. There you go.
Right next to that giant barrier.
Yeah, right there.
Doug, are you sure you don't want to give up Midway for that?
Yeah, right. And luckily, this is just in the general plan to be changed over to RMB. So no changing of that there. Zoning regulations, I'm not even going to go over them very much because this is really just going to be a parking lot. You can't build on this. So public hearing was held on July 21st of this year. 39 notices were sent to properties within 300 feet, and the Planning Commission voted 4-0 to recommend approval. same findings we say every time. General plan says yes. And the planning commission voted yes. So we are recommending, the planning commission and staff are recommending that the city council approve the requested amendment.
I'll make a motion if you'll take it. Oh, no, public hearing. Sorry. I'm excited.
So there is no sponsor, correct? Oh, there is a sponsor. Would you like to speak to this?
Yeah, we've done quite a bit of improvements on it, and we're looking forward to turning it into a parking lot so we can hopefully deter nuisances from that area from using it for other purposes. And yeah, we've invested quite a bit in that area, so we're looking forward to keep investing in it and increasing it.
Great.
Are those solar panels on the building?
No.
Is that just, oh, I thought it was solar panels. Just looked like it was solar panels. Sorry, Zach. Sorry.
Brian Labrum was my name, and I live in Midville.
Great. Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
And this is in my district.
Okay. All right. So now we will open the public hearing for public comment. If you have a comment regarding this, you can go to the what is that called? The dais? No. Podium and speak. So if anyone has any comments, now is the time. Okay. We'll close the public hearing and send it to the council for action, for a vote.
I'll make a motion that we approve an ordinance relating to a land use that amends the zoning map for the property located on 98 West Winchester Street, Murray, Utah, from R18 residential low density to RNB residential neighborhood business.
Do we have a second?
I second it.
All right. Now I will send it to Brooke. Would you take the roll? Thank you.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, motion passes. Now we will go to number 3, which is to consider an ordinance relating to land use. It amends the zoning map for the property located at 64 and 72 West Woodrow Street, Murray City, Utah, from GO, General Office, to R18, Residential Low Density. Jared and Zach.
Awesome. So I just want to go off on a tiny little thing on this one. When the original property owner came to the planning desk and brought this up, I was so excited when he was like, we just want to change this from, GO to R18, and he explained why. I was super excited. It took everything I had to let Seth take this application, because I really do love it. I love the process of it. Where I went to school at Cypress High, they also have the same type of program. And I saw houses being built. I got to go tour them. So anyway, now I will just get on to the application. So like you said, this is a request to amend the future land use map from office to low density residential, and the zoning map from GO to R18 low density single family. The properties are located right here, just on Woodrow Street, immediately adjacent to just west of the high school. And right now they are zoned GO. That was actually part of the general plan process. We rezoned these properties and amended the future land use map. I don't have that on here to include that. As you can see, here's a couple of properties, or here's the properties in their current condition. They could use some love, and I think hopefully they'll get some. So general land use categories: office allows for typically, smaller scale businesses, doctor's offices, beauty salons, things like that. Low density residential, pretty straightforward. They're single family homes. We reviewed the general plan, and It calls to provide a mix of land uses and development patterns, also preserve and protect the quality of life in residential neighborhoods, and stimulate reinvestment in deteriorating areas of the city, which we believe it meets all those aspects of the general plan. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on July 21st. 47 notices were sent out, and the Planning Commission voted 4-0 to forward a recommendation of approval. And I'm just going to skip that. So yeah, we are recommending that you approve the change to the general plan and to the zoning map. Questions, comments?
Do we have a sponsor?
We didn't see him, so I'm guessing not. It was supposed to be a representative from the school district. I don't remember who it was though.
Okay.
Richard? Yeah, okay. Sorry, so we don't, he's not here.
All right.
Should we take public comment before comment?
Yeah, this is a public hearing. So this is the time for public comment. If you have any comments on this hearing, please go to the podium and make your comments. Okay. Seeing none, then I will send it to the council for discussion or, oh my goodness, I forgot.
Comments?
A motion. Or a motion.
I've had 3 of these in my neighborhood from Murray School District. And I was very concerned that they weren't finding property until they found one on Bullion. Yes. And then we thought, are we going to find any more? So I'm very excited that these 2 pieces of property have come up for the Murray students to be working on them, because this teaches them different trades. Because some of them will not be going to college. That's just not their thing, is to go to college. And to work on a house and to learn from these teachers is going to put them into an area where they will be able to pick up a trade. So I'm very, very excited for this. I just wish the school district would have been here tonight to see this being passed for them. And so, yes.
I was contacted by the historic community about this, and I'm sure you guys might have heard from them about how this, with the one house, was one of the old smokestacks houses for the workers. And really, I totally think this is a great opportunity for the school district and for the students. But I also want to challenge them to maybe either pay homage to that part of the community in some way that could literally be driven-led or student-led or driven-led, yeah. Student-led.
You were just talking about the lead that's probably in
the house itself, yes. And also, or look at the process of what it is to demolish a historic home and who is involved and what is involved, right? Because there are so many different entities that are involved. Sure. And it could be that this is, contaminated. What all those things look like. I think it's such a teachable opportunity for the students to really learn what that is and the value behind it, right? And what we're facing as a city and even as a council in general, because all those things should be considered when going through that process. So that's one of the things. Of course, the historical community has a big concern about tearing it down. My concern is, if we do, what does that process look like? And what a great teaching opportunity for those students.
Yeah.
To really learn and also pay homage to the smokestacks and the workers and the people who used to be there as well.
Definitely. And I think I would strongly recommend reaching out to the people at the school district. I know, Pam, you have contacts at the district, and that would be something very appropriate to ask of them. Yeah. I can't officially tell them to put in a plaque or anything like that, but I don't disagree at all. Ms. Dominguez, I think that's a great idea. So
I know we have a meeting with the school district in October on the 19th as a council. And so if you're there and I will be there, we could bring that up. Jared,
put it on the
bring that up to
agenda.
them.
Yeah.
But I think the school, knowing the school and the teachers, I think they'll walk those kids through that building to show them how they build a house back in that era. They will show the architect, they'll show them the workmanship on that house, and they may keep the house up for a little bit before they just, tear it down. But knowing the school, I think they will use that time frame and work with the students and show them this building. But when we meet with them, I will bring that up to them, and I'll bring it up to Richard Reese also. Thank you.
Okay, I would appreciate a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve an ordinance relating to land use that amends the zoning map for the property located at 64 and 72 West Woodrow Street, Murray City, Utah, from GO General Office to R18 Residential Low Density.
Do we have a second?
I will second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion?
Just to reiterate it, I would love to see some sort of educational process with that home and even historical context. And it is public record, and this meeting can be shared with the district as well. So.
Yep.
Okay, Brooke, would you take the vote?
Aye.
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 Aye. Guess I'm not done yet. There are no business items scheduled. Now is the mayor's report and questions.
How are you? You ready to go home? I just have about 45 minutes worth of things to say. I'm kidding. Oh, Jared leaves. How do you like that? Jared walked right out on me. Okay, so just a couple of things. City Hall still on target. Were we going to make an appointment to go over?
I actually went over yesterday.
And
it's
tell us.
beautiful. Oh my word.
So
it's going to be amazing. We're going to be so spoiled. I mean, it's just like a whole new world. It's crazy.
So how do we make an appointment to go see it?
Just talk to Jennifer, and I'd like to go with you if we can, but I know it's busy, but that'd be fun. But I'm glad you got to see it.
Oh, me too.
Were you shocked when you went through it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. They're putting carpet down.
I know.
Wow. It's really cool.
It's moving, isn't it?
Yeah. I've been
Yeah.
bugging the heck out of Jennifer. So
I know. Anyway, so we'll get that done. Modern display. My fingers are crossed, Jared. That middle. Yep. He gave me a thumbs up. So October 15th, probably around.
October 15th.
Yeah. So it's fast. It happened pretty.
Invite us to whatever. The open house.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
All of it.
Whatever. They haven't let me know yet. So, okay, we'll make sure that Jennifer knows. So, it's gonna be awesome. I'm excited. We talked to them the other day, and it's gonna be great. They're excited to be here in Murray. They are way excited to be here in Murray.
that's great.
Also, the VU property is now ours. So that's the property behind the theater. So
Yay.
we have the keys. So we own it. So
Hey, Mayor,
that was quite
is
a
it-
process.
Is it the stone building and then that's it, right?
So you got this, is a stone building, the property that's on the north,
Yeah.
because it's not that. It's
Oh.
the property right behind the theater. So there's a split wall in between those two,
Uh-huh.
and it's just it's the one there. But if you have any pull, we'd like to.
Oh, well, I thought that was it. I thought you guys were working with the Molokaus on it.
Yeah, we've been working with the other
Okay.
property, and
I wasn't sure.
we're hoping.
Okay.
We are. It's a good question because we would.
Mayor, we're selling things, not buying things. Killing me here.
There you go. There you
That
go.
too.
And last but not least, I want to tell you how much I appreciate you guys last 2 weeks ago supporting me in the DEI, the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Director. We didn't call him Director Advisor, but we've changed it up. We have, and I can't give the name out yet because the person hasn't signed yet, but we have decided, and I think all of you are going to be excited about this. So just after a lot of going back and forth with GL, with Doug and Tammy, Brenda, we have, and especially this person that we're considering, we have decided not to make it full-time. It will be a consultant. So we'll save about $110,000. I knew, look at Diane, I knew she'd be grinning ear to ear. And this is really the likes for us. It helps us and this person because they wanted to continue on doing some of their other DEI. So anyway, so I'm hoping next 2 weeks from today that I will introduce this person to you.
Right.
I'm excited. So anyway, so that's the direction. Nothing has been signed yet, but we're hoping probably end of the week, right? I think. Okay, fingers crossed. Next, let's say before this next meeting in 2 weeks, we'll have that done. But anyway, we're excited about the move. A lot of great ideas. We're excited. Jalil, I met with him, who was on your task force, 7 feet tall. How do you say it? Jalil. And had a picture taken next to him. I'm not that short. I look like, well, look at Karen.
No,
I'm not kidding you. I look like I'm very short. But anyway, great young man. He wanted to be here for it. Came up and asked if he could be part of it, just to watch it when we put that person in. And I'm hoping we can get most of the committee, the task force, to be involved. So
I do have a question for you.
What's that?
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Can we get an update on the broker, sell the building, where we're at, how that whole thing's going? We had an appraisal done.
You bet. I'm going to have Doug, do you mind getting that? Oh, GL. Hey, look. Oh, never mind.
The appraisal's been ordered. We're going to have to get a survey as well. It will take several weeks to get the appraisal, and then we'll move forward. But I know that there are feelers out and people are contacting broker.
There's interest.
There is a great deal of interest, yes.
Okay. Yeah, because my fear is every week that passes, with the way the economy's going right now, we lose money.
Right.
And so
Yeah,
we want to
there-
make sure we
yeah,
get
we
the
can-
maximum dollar for our citizens.
We told you the name of the broker.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure that Orden Yost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's doing that. And yeah, there's a lot of action on it. I mean, we had a lot of action well before we even hired the broker real
Is that the same for the chapel as well?
same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what happens because things are changing up in that area too. So there's some things that, anyway. So yeah, they're on top of it, and we had tons of interest before, and Orden's getting lots of interest also. So lots and lots of things happening on that. So
Great. Thank you.
any other questions?
I just wanted to say thank you again for the last council meeting and supporting us and me and the Hispanic community. And also just remind you, it's still Hispanic Heritage Month.
Right.
So we'll have to go have La Puente or something or whatever
You know, I
to
love
celebrate.
La Frontera or wherever you want to
There
go.
is an excellent
Yeah.
place that Diana and I tried called Gordo's Tacos and
Oh
Beer.
yeah, they're great.
It's very good. So you need to go.
What is it called?
Gordo's Tacos and Beer.
It's on 19th.
It's right by.
Who laughed when you said the
It's
beer?
by. It's where couscous used to be. Very
Okay, Tammy's out there going like,
very very
Yes,
good.
Tammy. Today is National Taco Tuesday, by the way. So go have
Is
some
it really?
tacos. Yeah. So anyways,
all right.
I just wanted to say thank you again and thank
You're
you
welcome.
everybody on the council for that.
Thanks,
Mayor?
Lola. Yes,
Can I just say thank you for a wonderful time on the golf?
you're welcome.
course.
That was fun, wasn't
That
it?
was a lot of fun. Thank you for the invitation. And I hope we do it again next year.
Absolutely. In fact,
Thank you.
I gotta tell you, Tammy said, one time golfing, we need to bowl. I love it. All right. Well, thank you.
All right. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'd just like to mention one thing. This is National Breast Cancer Month also. Please, women, take care of yourselves. I lost a dear friend of over 25 years to breast cancer. So please, women, take care of yourself. Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any opposed? We're ready to go.